My name is Björn Kussofsky and I'm the CEO, Executive Creative Director and founder of Stockholm Design Lab. And it's more than 22 years ago that I started this company together with a strategist and an architect. And the reason for starting this company was that there was a need for a kind of Scandinavian design company that would compete with international branding agencies, at that time Future Brands and Pentagram and so on. And we felt that there could be a possibility of kind of merging a lot of we call ourselves like a multi-disciplinary design agency, meaning that we like to work with all aspects of design. We had this idea of a laboratory, meaning that design is something that comes out of experiment, and also that we're working with design and strategy. And then the reason for also putting Stockholm there was to kind of position ourselves on the market. So Stockholm Design Lab is the name, and one of my inspirations is also an art director called Alexei Brodovich, which to me when I was studying was this master art director which did this fantastic work for magazines and art direction for magazines. And he had something called the Design Laboratory in New York, which was kind of a school, and I thought that name was quite nice, so it comes from there. So, but then it's a long name, so SDL is probably in short what we call ourselves. Not really. I mean, my grandfather he had a small fashion shop, and I can remember him kind of drawing these signs for this shop, and also there was this logotype that said Kusoffsky, which was like hand drawn in this 30s style letters. I think that was something that I saw, and how he cherished these colored pencils and being very precise and so on. But I think it was more of I didn't really. I thought I would be a pop star, and I'm not sure you heard about the story with our band Rat Fab from when I was about around 16, 17. And we released one single, and we had the opportunity of getting our sleeve designed by Andy Warhol, and that was like the major shift for me, because this cover got a lot of attention, and it was the Rolling Stones, the Velvet Underground, and this small band from Stockholm called Rat Fab, and they didn't say anything about the music. It was only about the cover, so that kind of made me shift in a way to go to start studying design. So I was one of the youngest students at Beckmans at the time, and immediately after during my studying, I came across with all these great designers and typographers and architects and fashion designers and so on. So yeah, I think it grew on me more than there was like this particular moment. After school, I was an art director at a magazine for 3 years, and then I was also part owner of an advertising agency together with Tom Hedqvist, which I think you probably tried to contact. And at that time, it was also kind of a mix of design and advertising. And we were pitching for an assignment for EF, which is Educational First, which is like a language school. This is like 1990, I think. And we lost the pitch, and the winner was Paul Rand. And that's the logo you can see today with these rings inside these letter forms, EF. And then I asked the client, would you mind sharing his presentation? It would be interesting to see how Paul Rand would do this. And so they showed me the presentation, and that was really a turning point for me, how he presented the work and how he kind of systematically built up something which was totally easy to understand and so on. And so I think I had that in mind also when we started Stockholm Design Lab, that you had to be very precise in how you present things, and of course an airline is the perfect first job, because it does include all of these touch points, from uniforms and airplanes to lounges and tickets and so on. Before we started Stockholm Design, we were actually consultants to SAS to have opinions on the design, which was at the time also an English company doing it. And we felt that it wasn't Scandinavian enough, and we felt that it was not, and they were not really happy about it either. So that's why we, after a while, they asked us to do it instead. So that's how we started. I think if you meet other designers or agencies in Stockholm, everyone would say that there's probably not anything unique in Swedish design, Scandinavian design. But of course it might be something that is related to our way of living, or like the heritage of like Scandinavian modernism and so on. But still it's not really the true answer. I think you could probably see a lot of clear and uncluttered work, but also the opposite. So I think it's really difficult to explain what it is, and really if is it important as well. I'm not sure to define it. I mean, for us it's about more of like Dieter Rams rules, like being very clear and precise and but is that Scandinavian or is that a universal thing? I mean, it's Japanese as well, I would say. IKEA is a good example because, you would consider us quite Swedish, and the reason for that is they are promoting democratic design. That was one of their key messages, I think like 30 years ago, that I mean, the founder, Ingvar Kamprad, he had the idea of bringing furniture to everyone, to be able to purchase good design. But if you look 40 years back, it was a lot about copying other design. And one of my first projects, and this was before Stockholm Design Lab, was a project called IKEA PS, which was actually, in a way, the starting point of bringing in other designers, apart from the internal IKEA designers, to contribute with something that would stand out in the IKEA. And that was like a small, kind of a selection at IKEA. But working with IKEA for many, many years, I can see that everyone you meet at IKEA has this democratic design idea when they talk, and what IKEA is all about, and pushing the idea of democratic design was also about bringing in other people, but also being proud of what they have, and I mean, it's cheap furniture. Or affordable furniture, I would say. And I mean, now they're moving into a lot of different collaborations and a lot of, in a way, quite far-fetched collaborations. But that's because they are, experimenting with, or it could be like Virgil Abloh or someone else that is contributing with their democratic design idea. And I find that super interesting. The packaging project was also a turning point for me when the idea was not just to design beautiful packaging. It was sort of like, how do you how do you make sustainable packaging, and what is the way IKEA would do a packaging. And it's not about a beautiful package, it's about, just being able to take care of a product in the most simplest way, and reducing packaging material and so on. And that's also, part of the IKEA DNA, being quite smart and so on. So I think the history, you always have to look at their history and their DNA, as you said, but also, bring it into the future. And I think that's one of the reasons why they are collaborating with so many interesting people to move forward. But it goes for any brand, that you need to do a lot of research, and the strategy part of any design work is crucial. You're not just able to go into a project with doing something that wouldn't be relevant. The biggest challenge was that they didn't really have a brand from the start. They had a prototype car, but they didn't really had a brand except for the name. And the idea was to become an electric car brand, but the first car was not 100% electric. It was a hybrid car. But still, the Polstar 1 was I think the vehicle to move into the brand it is today. Challenges is also that it came from Volvo, and the heritage from Volvo. How much of the Volvo heritage would be taken care of, or if it's a completely new brand, and also that it was owned or is owned by Geely, a Chinese company. So I think it was a little bit of how much Swedishness and how much global, international brand it should be. But we ended up we think the name is perfect for a company that's really pushing, electric car into the future. Like the Polestar is like the guiding star, which is, I think it's a nice name. And I'm also really, I mean, they were like 40 people from the beginning. Now they're 1,000 people. So they were, quite a few people working on this project, and we were there from the beginning, and I mean, we still do work every day for them. And now they've established a brand, but they're very, very small in this market. I think what they've achieved was to, in a way, not go the traditional way of branding, and also being super clear about all the details. If you look at the brand, you would see like the Unica typeface on the car itself, to the website, or the Polstar spaces, which is their showrooms. And the reason for that is that they are design driven, and the CEO is Thomas Engelhardt, who's been a car designer for Volvo, and now he's the CEO of Polstar. And I think that's something that, if you want to be a serious design driven brand, you need to have people on the top level to be able to promote this and understand it. And I mean, if you reference Apple, that is the whole key to that, the interest of design, and being able to work with great people and so on. We still believe that like simple, remarkable ideas is the key to building a brand, and if you're able to make it. If we take the IKEA project, for instance, that's like 8,000 non-furniture product that needs to have a package. And as I said, it's not about the surface, it's about the content and being able to reduce packaging materials and so on. And that that design is a powerful tool, I would say. So it's both sustainable and also reducing costs and so on. But also it's a beautiful package in the end. But that's not the kind of main thing. It's the combination of all these things. And I think that there's a lot of kind of a surface design, or that's what we call it, that there's a lot of decoration. and things look good, but maybe there's nothing behind it, or it's just a copycat. And I think, you know, any successful company has a DNA which you can actually feel and see, when you see the brand in different touch points. So there is a big responsibility for a design agency to, you know, I mean, there's like, you can always say no to a project if you don't believe in it, or you don't kind of feel that this is something that needs design. It could be something else. Because that's the case a lot of times. It's not about design. It could be the product itself, or the service, or even the communication needs to be changed first. And then you can, you know, look at the design. So, yeah, we're not really looking for projects. We're always looking for clients, because we know that it takes a lot of effort and time to build up a brand. And we always say that you need to be patient. It's not like you're giving away the toolbox and then, you know, then you're on your own. You need to build it up in the right way. Good question. I asked myself that a week ago. Didn't really have a good answer, but I mean, hopefully things that last, that will still be around, that kind of made a difference in a way. Be that an electric car brand or a shoe box for Adidas, I'm not sure. But I mean, I think that's our main struggle, or if we look at startups, for instance, they have like a very short time span, and you know, how to create design, and a lot of times they redesign after 2 years or 3 years, and we always strive to be, you know, to make something that would last. And I think most of our projects are still around and not change. So I think that's something that we relate to as sustainability, that it's really, you know, trying your best to make something that would last. But the legacy, I don't know. We made this book, so now we can move on.
Okay. Jag säger